How do I start this without feeling like an asshole? Hi, my name's Abigail. Welcome to Abigail's Bookself. I thought instead of agonizing over what I could possibly include in an intro video, I would just tell you 3 of my favorite books, 3 books that I'm currently reading, and 3 books that are on my TBR that I'm hoping to get to soon. Let's not do the weird intro stuff. Let's not pretend we don't know each other. We're friends now. We're not strangers. I'm gonna start talking to you about my favorite books. Okay? Awesome. So, first book on my list is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. This book, it's perfect. That's all I can say. This whole series is perfect. I love them. That's it. No notes. I love them so much that I have a Raven Boys tattoo. We've committed to the bit. Maggie Stiefvater is a god. I will read anything she's written. I have read anything she's written, and I want to use a lot of this channel for talking about writing. We will be talking about her again. You have not seen the last of Maggie Stiefvater. The next book is another one that I have formed an extremely unhealthy attachment to. It's Frankenstein. I have over 30 copies of this book. I love this book so deeply. I read it for the first time in college, and I felt like it was one of those books that you just read at the exact right moment of your life, and it gets in the bones. It gets in the bones. She's in my bones. Also, I have a Mary Shelley tattoo, so you can tell I'm totally normal about books. I love Mary Shelley. I think she's brilliant. I think she's perfect. One day I'm going to show you all of my favorite things about this book. I'm going to show you all my favorite editions of this book. And last but not least, my newest obsession. Both of those books I have formed very lasting long-term relationships with. We're deep in it together. 10 years, over 10 years since I read Raven Boys for the first time. Oh, almost 10 years since I read Frankenstein for the first time. So we're like in it together. I have tattoos. I'm totally normal about them. Totally normal about them. But this book, she's new to me. I met her, it was only a year ago. Oh my God, it was like a year ago. That's crazy. The amount of time that I've spent thinking about this novel, looking it up on Tumblr, just sitting in the dark thinking about it, seems like there's not enough time in a year. But I will say, I do not reread books. I read Frankenstein and Raven Boys once a year. That's it. I cannot read it more than that. I read this book twice in 1 year. I read this book twice in 3 months. I read the first one, I read the second one, I read the first one, I read the second one, I read the third one, and now it's time for me to do it again because the third one just came out in paperback again, and I haven't written in it, and I need to write in it. It's Gideon. It's Gideon. It's Gideon. It's always Gideon. Gideon the Ninth is, in fear of overusing this word, I'm going to use it again. Perfection. It's perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. There are no notes. I think about Gideon Nav more than I think about myself, and that's very impressive because I am a very insecure Virgo. I think about myself a lot. Not as much as I think about Gideon Nav. This book is freaky. It's weird. So much yearning. It's honestly a little bit scary sometimes. It's existential. It's funny. It's perfect. What's the perfect count at this point? Have I said it like 5 times, maybe? Tamsin Muir is a genius. The Locked Tomb is perfect. I wait with bated breath for Alecto the Ninth. And when that comes out, you're going to be sick of me. I'm going to make you sick of me talking about The Locked Tomb because, like I said, I want to talk about writing, and I cannot talk about writing without talking about this book. So just buckle up. Consider the Gideon. So those are my 3 favorite books. And that's it. That's all you need to know about me. Well, here's what I'm currently reading. First up is Realm Breaker by Victoria Aveyard. I am gonna give a hot take here. I didn't like Red Queen. I read it probably in 2018 maybe, so before book talk. But I only read the first one. I was not a huge fan. The world building confused me. I liked the plot twist at the end, and I think that sort of thing maybe formed my identity in a way that I didn't think about until right now. And now that I'm thinking about it, I still don't love that book, but I'm really enjoying Realmbreaker. I started it over the summer. I'm half-ish way through. It's not a book that I pick up and spend a lot of time with, but it's a book that I pick up and really enjoy every second that I'm reading. I think Victoria Abigail's commitment to her craft is really showing a lot in this. Her love of the fantasy genre is really clear in this, and I like all of those things a lot. I'm really excited to keep going. I'm excited for probably, honestly, by the time book 3 comes out, I may be almost finished with book 2. So that works. I did that on purpose. I'm a Virgo, and I did that on purpose. The next book that I am currently reading is Victoria Schwab. I didn't include her in my top 3, but she's definitely one of my favorite authors of all time. The Vicious series, I think about her a lot too. Vicki Schwab's another sort of master of fiction that I am going to probably talk a lot about on this channel. I just really enjoy the way she writes and the way she thinks about writing, and the way, just everything about her is what I use to kind of work my own craft. I think she's genius. Another hot take, just between us friends, I didn't love Addie LaRue. Addie LaRue was not for me. I'm glad the girlies love it. I'm glad it made Vicki Schwab more popular. It's not for me. I'm a vicious girly. Not enough bloodshed in those books. Not enough bloodshed. Not enough angry yearning. It just didn't work for me. But this series does. I actually started reading it when I saw Victoria Schwab for the first time at the Decatur Book Festival in 2016. That was when I fell in love with Vicious. And then I started A Darker Shade of Magic, never finished the trilogy. Read all of book 1, got halfway through book 2 in the middle of college, put it down, never picked it back up again. But when this one was coming out, I was really excited, and I wanted to, understand the hype. I wanted to be a really deep V. Schwab girl. I've read all of her other stuff, and so I gave it another shot, loved it. Can't stop thinking about it in my brain all of the time, and so I'm really excited to get into this one. So far, I've only read, I think, the first part, and it was excellent. The only thing I'm concerned about is there are a lot of characters, and I don't know which ones I'm supposed to be paying attention to yet, but we're gonna ride it out. Also, just in case you haven't got your greasy paws on this one yet, be so serious. That's what I'm currently reading. I'm only currently reading those 2. So I'm gonna cheat, and I'm going to actually show 4 books that are on my current TBR. First up, Night of the Witch. I'm reading this because the bookshop I work for, yes, I work at a bookshop. The bookshop I work for is doing an event with these authors this week, and so I'm going to try to read it before that event takes place. It might happen, depends on how good the book is. I have 24 hours. The next one, you know her, you love her probably. I gave into the hype. It's been months, I've been putting it off. I was saying, it's not for me. I've been burned by book talk way too many times. I'm not reading their new ACOTAR. I'm not doing it. But I bought it anyway, and I'm going to give myself props because I waited a very long time to buy it and to give into the hype. I'm going to read it. I am excited because I love dragons. Anne McCaffrey, another one of my favorite authors. I probably will definitely talk about her again. Her Dragon Riders of Pern series, great, love it. And so I'm really excited to get into these dragons. I've heard they're very good. I really love a sentient dragon with just a really strong personality. And so I'm really excited to read this. Aragon was a big gateway drug for me as a child to get into fantasy. Huge fan of Aragon. And last but not least, the last 2 books on my TBR, and I'm cheating because they're similar. First one, Mary and the Birth of Frankenstein. I didn't know this was coming out. I didn't know anyone was doing this. I didn't know that I needed this, but I went in the back room of the bookshop the other day and I looked on the lay down shelf and I saw this much of it. That's it. I didn't even have time to read the title. I said, I know whose face that is. And that's because I have a water bottle with her portrait on it. I have a pillow on my bed with her face on it. I'm totally normal about Mary Shelley. But anyway, this is a fiction retelling of basically the story of how Mary came up with Frankenstein. I'm really excited to read it. I'm going to be talking a lot about Mary and Percy Shelley on here because I'm a normal person and I have an interest, but I also am going to talk about them a lot because of the writing, and writing is really important to me. Craft is important to me, so we're going to talk about craft. And I think that this is a great book to read thinking about craft, because what a weird story about how this book came to be, right? It's bizarre, and that's why we love it. Wrapping it up, Our Hideous Progeny. This is also a Frankenstein-inspired book, which is why I felt like I could cheat. They're also both relatively small. I'm a fantasy reader. Under 400 pages is small to me. Our Hideous Progeny is a spin-off of Frankenstein about Dr. Frankenstein's descendants. It's Sapphic. It's Scotland. Hello, I'm there. I've been there. I've been waiting. I'm sitting on the gravestone. I'm waiting for you to appear. That's what I want to read soon. So anyway, that's me. That's what I'm up to. That's what's going on. Like I said, I want this channel to be a little bit about books, a little bit about writing. So if you watch this whole thing, thank you. And that's all. Bye. How do I stop this thing? Quality until you can see my gray hairs. No, you can't. You can't. Anyway.